Welcome to Rockin' After Midnight, where the music, the memories, and the legends live on. Tonight, we're talking about one of the most misunderstood stories in rock history, the supposed feud between Lynyrd Skynyrd and Neil Young. To understand the story, you have to go back to the early 1970s. Neil Young released songs like Southern Man and Alabama, songs that criticized racism and the troubled legacy of the American South. Then came Lynyrd Skynyrd, and in 1974, they answered with Sweet Home Alabama. But the real story was far more complicated than people realized. In Sweet Home Alabama, Skynyrd name-checks Neil Young directly. And that one line made people think this was a full-blown feud. But that's where the story gets misunderstood. Ronnie Van Zant wasn't just throwing a cheap shot. He was pushing back against the idea that the entire South could be reduced to one image. The song had pride, but it also had tension. Here's the twist. Ronnie Van Zant actually respected Neil Young, and Neil Young later showed respect for Skynyrd too. So the feud wasn't as simple as rock history made it sound. In fact, Ronnie Van Zant was sometimes seen wearing a Neil Young shirt on stage. Not exactly what you'd expect from two artists supposedly at war. What made this story powerful was that both artists were really talking about America, just from very different perspectives. And decades later, people still debate the meaning behind those songs. Because great music doesn't just entertain. Sometimes it starts conversations that never really end.
Southern man, better keep your head. Don't forget what your good book said. Well, I hope Neil Young will remember. Southern man don't need him around anyhow.
The story between Lynyrd Skynyrd and Neil Young was never really about hatred. It was about identity, perspective, and the power of music to challenge people. And maybe that's why these songs still matter today. Not because they gave simple answers, but because they captured a complicated moment in American music history. Thanks for watching Rockin' After Midnight. I'm Sloane. Keep the rock alive, and I'll see you after midnight.